So the first topic which is important is this International Court of Justice. You should know that it is the principal judicial organ of the United Nations, and it's established in this Peace Palace, Hague, Netherlands. The primary thing, but you should understand, is how many judges are, the court is composed of. It is actually composed of 15 members. In this, how many are from India is where you should see, and here you find an Indian national or a former Supreme Court judge being a member, Dalveer Bandari being a member of the ICJ. ICJ also comprises of 15 other judges, which should be a very primary factor in your understanding. Now come to the point of how many judges, how many jurisdictions. There are two types of jurisdiction. The first is that it is a dispute between states. This is a very important fact. It is not a dispute between individuals. The second is the advisory opinion. There are two types of jurisdiction. You have different types of jurisdiction in the Supreme Court also. Similarly, you have two types of jurisdiction, 15 members, and you also find an Indian member in that as an judge. So the second point that you should note is that the dispute is between states. Okay, it is disputes between states, that is one or more states who are members of the United Nations. So this is the primary thing. Next, we will see the. So the third point is that you should know if the court verdict is binding. The court binding or the judgment of the International Court of Justice is actually final and without appeal. So to summarize the points, you should know that there is two types of jurisdiction, and the court binding or the verdict is binding, and there is an Indian judge as well. So this information is enough for ICJ. We'll go to the next topic. The first topic is International Court of Justice. The second topic that I feel important is that we are going to have census, and this time census is going to be conducted primarily by the central government, and it's one of the most historic event which is going to happen. So you should know that list 1, look at this. It is the primary concern or the 7th schedule. As you might be well aware, it has 2 or 3 lists: central list, state list, and the concurrent list. So in where do you find census is in the central list. And along with it, I want you to look at elections also, because this time we had our Lok Sabha election. So election to parliament, election to legislature of the state, offices of the prime minister and vice president. Look at this. And election commission, all these are dealt in list 1 of the constitution, where it is the responsibility of the center to do all these things. So the census, please check it. And the next point that you should know is that census, when it was first started 1872, Lord Mayo, please again look at the list of the viceroys of the Britishers who were there and what were their contributions. And the first major census happened in 1881. And whether these census all these things are mandatory is what you should know. And it is according to the 1948 or Census of India Act. This is an act which was passed even before the constitution was done. So this 1946, so it's a statutory act which gives the power to the center according to the list 1 to do the census, but it can, it is not, does not bind. Look at this. This does not bind the union government to conduct the election as per a fixed date. That's why this time we have, not conducted the elections. Census. So elections are over. Now the census will be conducted. So this is the second point. So the third topic that we are going to see is this NATO and its or the countries who have now become part of this NATO. This is a very important thing because there is a war between Russia and Ukraine, which is going on, and these countries have become, so these two countries, so Finland and Sweden, they have become this NATO countries. So what I primarily want you to look at is whether which country shares, border with Russia. So this is Finland. Look at this, and you have this Norway, Sweden, Finland. That is the point. Norway, Sweden, Finland. But Sweden does not have this land boundary with the Russian Empire. And you should also look at this Baltic state, which is very, very important. Okay. In this picture, it is even more clear. Now look at it. Which are the countries which have become, part of this NATO? Here you have a border between this Norway and, Russia. But again, I'll stress on this fact. This Finland has this border, but you look at Sweden. Sweden has an outer edge where it is not connecting to the Russian Empire. You also have Kaliningrad here, but still it does not border with this. Other countries which are also, so these are also countries part of NATO. So which are all the countries becoming part of this two have become NATO countries in the recent time. Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia are always or have been part of this NATO. Norway also was part of this NATO. In terms of, so Russia, there are two countries adjoining to Russia which are not. See, Belarus is not part of NATO, and Ukraine, they have now given this admission that they want to be part of NATO. But in a holistic, when you see which are the countries, means Norway, Sweden, Finland. Sweden and Finland have become part now. Belarus, Ukraine are not part of. So the next topic that is important is that this Rajya Sabha election which recently happened. In this election, if what you have to understand, so Article 80 gives this indirect election. There is no direct election for Rajya Sabha, indirect election, and look at Lakshmikant chapter clearly also. But there was an amendment in 2003 which provided for elections in Rajya Sabha to be an open ballot. So the elections for the Lok Sabha, which recently happened, it was a closed ballot. See, it's not an open ballot, but it's an open ballot for the Rajya Sabha election which is happening. But now in the bottom, if you see, it is also specified that 10th schedule, whether it will apply for cross voting in Rajya Sabha, it is actually given as no. But cross voting in any other case, when the whip is given, is actually giving this 10th schedule this power to the speaker to remove the person. But in the case of Rajya Sabha, there has been cross voting. This is what you should know from this, from this topic. So the next topic I feel is this World Food Program. So it is established in 1961. Why I am insisting on this is that this has been, or the first development program is, so the first time it was launched is in Sudan, but the 2020 they have been awarded this Nobel Peace Prize. So that's why I have this World Food Program. What it does is a very important thing that you should know. It basically, tries to reduce this hunger. Hunger, as you might be knowing, is also one of the important features of this sustainable development goals. So what they do is that they have this removal of hunger as their point. They also implement so many school meal programs. We have this midday meal scheme, like that they have. Also, they have this, see, climate change also they address. That is, because of climate change, there is reduction in this food program, sorry, food basis. So they also have this forest-based financing and things like that. Basically, they are addressing malnutrition, but they have different ways of addressing that. That's what you should know from this World Food Program. Also, you can think about the cash assistance which is given. So basically, a World Food Program has this cash assistance, also school meal program, and many financing programs. So It is a Nobel Peace winning organization in 2020. So I want you to look at it. So we'll go to the next topic.